Well, we need Greenland for national security purposes. I've been told that for a long time, long before I even ran. I mean, people have been talking about it for a long time.
During his first term, Donald Trump had already expressed his desire to buy Greenland. Today, he's a bit more aggressive, even hinting at the possibility of taking it by force. While this is most likely just a pressure tactic, why does he even want to get his hands on this island? More broadly, what are the stakes surrounding the Arctic region of the planet, which is rarely represented on maps? Since it's rarely shown on maps, let's take a moment to visualize this area properly. Instead of using a flat map, let's use a 3D globe to get a more accurate representation. The North Pole is here, and the Arctic region surrounds it. The Arctic Circle is generally used as a boundary, but the geography of the region itself is quite clear. You can see the Arctic Ocean, along with the surrounding landmasses included in this zone. The Arctic is bordered by the United States, via Alaska, Canada, Denmark via Greenland, Norway, and Russia. You can also see the exclusive economic zones of the relevant countries. It's worth noting that each country has claims extending beyond the existing exclusive economic zones, as shown on the map. To give you an idea of the distances involved, from the Bering Strait to Norway, passing over the North Pole is 5,500 kilometers, equivalent to the distance from Paris to Kabul, and the distance between Canada and Russia is about 4,000 kilometers, comparable to Paris to Dakar. So it's a vast area. Approximately 4 million people live in the Arctic region, a melting pot of indigenous and non-indigenous populations. Greenland is probably the entity with the most distinct Arctic identity, as 90% of its population is ethnically Inuit and speaks Greenlandic, an Eskimo Aleut language. Greenland has the status of a constituent country within the Kingdom of Denmark, meaning it's largely autonomous. Additionally, 2/3 of its population, along with the island's two main political parties, support full independence for Greenland. The Arctic region is drawing the interest of major powers for both economic and strategic reasons. Here, you could see the sea ice coverage at its minimum in September 2024, compared to the median ice coverage for all September months between 1981 and 2010. As is well known, this ice cover is shrinking over time, and this climate change has several consequences. The possibility for ships to use new routes in the Arctic, and the facilitation of natural resource exploitation. These two aspects are often mentioned, but here, we'll delve deeper to understand their real impacts. Let's start with the new routes. There are two, the Northeast Passage and the Northwest Passage. The first runs along the Russian coast between Northern Europe and the Bering Strait, while the second winds through the Canadian coastline and its many islands, connecting the Bering Strait to North America. It's estimated that a journey between the ports of Shanghai, China, and Rotterdam, Netherlands, which takes 48 days via the Malacca and Suez Straits, would only take 35 days via the Northeast Passage, a significant time saving. However, navigating through the Arctic comes with many challenges. The harsh climate presents risks such as collisions with drifting ice. Warming temperatures also lead to increased fog and stronger winds. And while sailors can take advantage of the midnight sun in summer, if navigation eventually becomes possible in winter, they'll have to deal with polar night, meaning very few daylight hours or none at all. Navigating the Arctic is therefore risky. The Northwest Passage near North America is even more challenging, as it's less direct. Arctic routes also require support infrastructure, such as ports and emergency services for ships. Looking at the map, there are more ports on the American coast, but they're small, and the North American coast lacks the necessary infrastructure for large-scale Arctic shipping. In contrast, Russia's better equipped, with more developed port facilities and a fleet of around 40 icebreakers, including nuclear-powered ones, something no other country has. These icebreakers can carve out shipping lanes through the ice and, in the long run, ensure navigability for up to 9 months out of the year. That being said, it's important to understand that Arctic routes won't completely revolutionize global maritime trade. Despite climate change, the region remains hostile, and significant investments are still needed to make its use economically viable. It all comes down to a cost-benefit analysis, weighing the time and fuel savings against the high costs of the infrastructure and services required to operate in such a unique environment. At best, it's estimated that by 2050, 20% of Europe-Asia trade could pass through the Arctic. That's a significant share, but again, that's the best-case scenario. Currently, we are far from that target. In 2023, only 34 million tons of cargo traveled via the Northeast Passage, compared to over 1 billion tons using the traditional Malacca route. Another key issue is the natural resources present in the region, particularly hydrocarbons and mineral reserves. Here, you could see the areas with potential for oil and gas exploitation, along with the territorial claims of different Arctic nations. What stands out is that the high potential zones are already within existing exclusive economic zones, while the disputed areas claimed by various countries only contain medium to low potential resources. Moreover, a significant portion of these claimed areas is covered by permanent ice year-round, making resource extraction extremely difficult. Then there's the issue of mineral resources, particularly rare earth elements. Rare earths are a group of metals that, despite their name, are not actually rare. They're quite abundant. The problem is that high concentration deposits are much less common than those of other metals or minerals. Naturally, the concentration of these elements in a given deposit directly impacts its profitability. Rare earths are essential for electronics, especially in two key strategic sectors: the development of renewable energy infrastructure and energy storage, as well as advanced weapon systems. Major nations are competing for control of the rare earth market, which is currently dominated by China. In 2023, China produced at least 240,000 tons, accounting for 69% of global production, while the United States, in second place, only produced 43,000 tons. Clearly, China holds a dominant position. While China seeks to maintain its supremacy, other major powers are working to reduce their dependence on it. The link to the Arctic lies mainly in Greenland's rare earth deposits, which ties back to Trump's statements from late 2024 and early 2025. Here, you could see the locations where rare earth elements have been confirmed, as well as areas where significant concentrations are likely, based on probability levels. Additionally, Greenland is home to uranium deposits, which are also marked on the map. However, all these resources are located on Greenlandic soil, which belongs to Denmark, a sovereign country. So why are global powers interested? The goal is to invest in Greenland to gain at least partial control over its resources. From Greenland's perspective, this represents an opportunity to attract investments, particularly as it moves toward full independence. To clarify, let's review some key facts about Greenland. It's a territory slightly more than 3 times the size of France, with a population of just 57,000 people, 90% of whom are Inuit. Greenland gained autonomy from Denmark in 1979, a status that was further strengthened in 2010 when its government took control of the island's resource management. Greenland has its own parliament, the Inatsisartut, and is led by a prime minister. Since 2021, that role has been held by Mute Birup Egid, a member of the socialist and environmentalist party Inuit Ataqatigiit. Greenland had implemented a zero-tolerance policy on uranium extraction in 1988 due to concerns about the environmental pollution caused by such activities. These restrictions were lifted in 2013, but reinstated in 2021 when Egid came to power. The problem is that Greenland's largest rare earth deposit, which is also considered the second largest in the world, also contains uranium. This is the Kvanefjeld deposit, located in the south of the island. The Kvanefjeld area was acquired in 2007 by an Australian mining company, Energy Transition Minerals Limited, whose main shareholder since 2016 has been the Chinese company Shengda Resources, holding an 11% stake. The company had obtained licenses for an open pit mine, but with the 2021 elections and Egid's rise to power, the project was halted. The primary concern was that extraction activities would cause local pollution affecting the Narsak Valley, one of the very few areas in Greenland, less than 1% of its surface, where agriculture is possible. Of course, this is not the only investment in the region. Currently, there are 6 major sites with active mining licenses, as shown on the map. These sites are not limited to rare earth elements, but also include zinc, rubies, titanium, and other minerals. Investors come from multiple countries, as well as multinational corporations with no clear national origin. To summarize, Greenland's home to significant mineral and metal resources. While some mines are operational, others with high potential remain closed due to environmental regulations imposed by the Greenlandic government. However, this status quo holds only as long as the laws remain unchanged, something that could shift with a change in political leadership. The next parliamentary elections are set for March 2025. Following Trump's statements about wanting to buy Greenland, or even using more forceful means to take control, some members of Greenland's political class fear foreign interference in the elections. In response, the Greenlandic parliament has passed a law banning anonymous or foreign donations to political parties in an attempt to prevent external influence. At the same time, Egede has also implicitly expressed a desire for Greenland to move toward independence in 2025, with some speculating about a possible referendum in the spring. But is this really the right move given Trump's recent statements? Would it not be wiser to wait and see what the US president actually plans to do and whether a deal could be negotiated? In any case, both the Greenlandic Prime Minister and the Danish Prime Minister have reiterated that Greenland's not for sale. The Danish Prime Minister's also stated that she's open to increased cooperation, particularly on strategic matters. Greenland holds significant strategic importance for the United States. They already have a military base in the northwest part of the island, Pitafik Air Base, established in 1943. This base is crucial for supplying and monitoring the Arctic region. The US also has other bases on its own territory, notably in Alaska, as well as in NATO partner countries. The main regional rival is Russia, which has multiple military bases along its Arctic coast, including the important Murmansk base near the Finnish and Norwegian borders. As mentioned earlier, Russia has icebreaker ships, some of which are armed. This gives it a significant advantage in the region, which is why other Arctic nations are also investing in icebreaker construction. Additionally, the United States has implemented military exercises specifically designed for the Arctic, such as the ICEX exercises, which take place every 2 years in the Beaufort Sea off the coast of Alaska. These exercises train US submarines to navigate under the ice. It's also worth noting the Ocean 24 exercises between Russia and China, part of which took place in the Arctic in 2024. Clear displays of military strength on both sides. China, too, is building icebreakers, and in its 2018 white paper, it described itself as a near-Arctic state. While this term is not officially recognized, it reflects China's effort to establish a presence in the region and defend its interests. China's also attempted to invest in Greenland. In 2016, a Hong Kong-based company tried to acquire a decommissioned Danish naval base in Groenland to develop mining activities. In 2010, a Chinese state-owned company sought to participate in the expansion and modernization of Greenlandic airports in Nuuk, Ilulissat, and Qaqortoq. And, of course, there was the Kvanefjeld mining project previously mentioned. However, all these projects were blocked by Greenlandic or Danish authorities, sometimes due to US pressure. That said, it's important to recognize that Greenland itself has sometimes sought Chinese investment. The island aims for eventual independence and needs economic partners willing to invest. China's been willing to step in, and Greenland has leveraged this to put pressure on Western countries, essentially saying, if you don't invest in us, China will, as a way to encourage Western investment. The issue is that when someone like Trump comes along and changes the game by saying, we won't just invest, we'll buy you, it catches people off guard. On the European side, the European Raw Materials Alliance was established in 2020 as part of an EU action plan to reduce dependence on critical raw materials. This plan includes a partnership with Greenland. Meanwhile, China's primarily focused its investments in Russian Siberia. Between 2013 and 2023, China invested $90 billion in resource extraction projects there. Coupled with the gradual opening of the Northern Sea route, China's also looking to strengthen its military presence to protect its growing interests in the Arctic. So, to summarize this video, 2 key events are reshaping the Arctic region: the melting ice, which will allow for commercial navigation, and the presence of strategic metal resources, primarily in Greenland, resources that major powers want to secure as assets. As a result, Greenland's either being courted or will come under pressure, and its potential independence will have significant consequences for its relations with these global powers. At the same time, these powers are increasing their military presence to protect, or at least demonstrate their ability to protect, their interests in the region, as military strength remains an inseparable component of power. That's all for today. Thank you for watching this video. If you want to help me promote it on YouTube, leave a like, or even better, a comment to boost the algorithm. And don't forget to subscribe. This is the English version of a French channel about geopolitics, and many more videos are yet to come. See you in the next one.